football coach was shot by a parent because the coach did not start the parent's child. That's exactly what happened. Put the picture up full mass. Hell of a story. In St. Louis, 30-year-old Shaquille Latimore, a youth football coach, has been hospitalized in critical but stable condition. He was shot multiple times Tuesday evening by Sherman Park during practice. The violent act allegedly committed by a father who was upset about his son's lack of playing time. All right. Relatives told the St. Louis Dispatch Latimore has undergone surgery and is now in good spirits. He was shot in the leg, arm, the back, and abdomen. Bullets injuring some of his internal organs, but he is alive and stable. 43-year-old father Daryl Clemmons. So damn sad. He's been charged Wednesday with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. Honestly, he should be charged with attempted murder, in my opinion. Clemmons does not yet have an attorney who could speak on his behalf. He remains jailed without bond. Mr. Latimore said the parent first confronted him several weeks ago, but this time a feud ensued, and it ended with Clemmons shooting Latimore several times in front of the team. The team is made up of 9 and 10-year-old children. The Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis is partnering with the city to offer counseling to the players and others who witnessed the shooting. Latimore, a former high school football player, volunteers as an assistant coach and defensive coordinator for a city recreational league called the St. Louis Bad Boys and coaches with his cousin. Latimore's Little League football team is made up of primarily 7 to 10-year-olds altogether. Latimore is married and the father of 2 daughters and 3 sons. His kids sometimes come to practices with him, but they were not there during the shooting. So I'm going to give you some background to this shooting, and there's a way that we can actually help. At Tuesday's practice, Latimore and Clemmons had his back. Latimore said Clemmons had his back turned and kept reaching into his pocket, the pocket of his sweatsuit, before opening fire. Quote, "I didn't see his gun until it was already too late," Latimore said. "I ran and he shot me in the back. I fell and he shot me a couple of more times." Once again, as I said, he should have been charged with murder, attempted murder. Latimore said Clemmons then stood over him, taunting him and pacing back and forth. After he shot me, Latimore recalled, he was like, "I told you I was going to pop your..." Latimore said some of the other adults shielded him. Those are heroes. And Clemmons then ran off. Latimore said Clemmons coached the team a few years ago before Latimore joined as a coach. After every game, he would try to critique me, Latimore said. Latimore's mother, Miko Latimore, said she was familiar with Clemmons from his antics at previous practices. "He was a little extra," she said. "You always knew he was there." End quote. Of the shooting, she said, quote, "It's senseless. We're supposed to be bringing these kids off the streets and teaching them what to do, what not to do. We've got all these kids traumatized because their coach was shot in front of them. He could have easily hit one of those children." Ms. Latimore said her son did not play favorites. Quote, "Shaquille is one of those fair coaches, so he tries to rotate all of the kids in." That's the idea of recreational sports, by the way. "The parent was a little unhappy and wanted his kid to do more than someone else and was upset the way things were being done." Let's put up the GoFundMe. His family and friends are trying to raise money for his medical bills. We are part of that extended village. We are his family and friends as well. United together for Coach Shaq, all right? You can go to the GoFundMe. I'm going to ask that you do the very best you can. That is him in his coach form. right now, he's not doing that great. All right, he's not on his feet. He's healing. He's having surgery and is likely to have more in the future because of a senseless act from an individual who cannot or could not deal with life on life's terms. And let me say this about the trauma beyond the shooting to the coach. You work in areas like this in order to provide mentorship to those who need it. I've done the same. I continue to do the same. There's a baseball team that a friend and I, we decided to fund, and then we could not find a coach, so we had to become the coaches for this team. It was to make sure they had something to do after school. Now, we weren't concerned about win-loss ratio. We wanted competition, but not to the degree of harming anyone. It was about creating relationship, connection, providing an example. So for the father who decided to go in front of children and, once again, in my opinion, try to kill somebody in front of them, whatever justice he gets, he deserves. He deserves. Now, it's sad and unfortunate because you have a child who has lost his father in a way because of the criminal justice system. But the actions he committed warrant prosecution. All right, hell of a story. We're pulling for you, Coach Shaq. Thank you for all that you do. All right, Aida, thoughts here.
I'm just really concerned about the mental state of men in this country. We have a rise in suicide. We have a rise in mental issues. Men are socialized not to express their feelings. I agree with you. I think that anybody who, puts children in harm's way, because when you pull out a gun in the presence of others, everybody who's in the proximity of the gun is in danger. And so we all know that so many people have lost their lives because someone pulled out a gun for one particular person and others took the hit. So, it is negligence. It is disrespectful to the institution, the people who are there banding themselves together to create a positive space for children. I hate to see, Black men having to become subject to the criminal justice system that's already designed to to keep them there forever. So, and to keep the shackles of our past going forward. So I think this is horrible, but I'm a single mom and my son played football. He was on an Optimist team. And I watched the behaviors of some of the parents out there. And we got to check our emotions. Children are observational learners. They are watching us. And if we teach them to deal with conflict through violence now there's no future for them because we saw what happened to Elijah. Elijah wasn't even committing a crime. He just looked suspicious. So it's not stacked in our favor. And we have to learn to teach our children to process their emotions in a healthy way. And one of the greatest ways we do that is by behaving like adults.
There you go. The power of example. Children are not always listening, but they are always learning. Leave that. All right.